Hello, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 65. Today we have In Jae. Hi, In Jae. How are you?
I'm very good.
You are another bikepacker.
Yeah.
These guys, I didn't know. So, Raiming was like episode 42. The current episode on Spotify right now is Ram. He's 63 or 65. I didn't know that Southeast Asia was crawling with bikepackers. You guys are coming out of the woodwork everywhere. What's up? What is it all about?
I think it's just everyone, like trying to, like tell everybody,
Yeah.
hey, there's another way you can do things.
Is it just because Southeast Asia is pretty good weather, it's nice and warm, you're not going to freeze to death? A lot of people are, and it's a quite an economical way of traveling, right?
Yes, Southeast Asia is more economical than other places like Japan or like Europe, America. Yeah.
So, In Jae, you don't have a Singaporean name, but you're a Singaporean,
Yes.
right?
I'm Singaporean. Yes.
Why don't you give us a 5-second brief on who you are, where you came from, what you do?
Yeah, my name is In Jae. I'm a student right now at NUS. I have a holiday right now, and what I did is I cycled the length of Japan from the bottom to the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you one of those guys like Ram that just picked up cycling and just decided, I want to do this adventure and just went for it? Sort of?
I would say it's quite similar in that sense. I have the same sentiment,
Yeah.
It's not documented at all.
Yeah.
How are you going to do this? You don't find that much resources online. You have to just do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning a lot more about bikepacking in the past few months than I ever thought. It's just like another discipline of cycling. Like you got road bikes, you got mountain bikes, you got downhill, maybe you got cyclocross, you got gravel, and then bikepackers are a different breed. They're not even, you're not doing it for endurance, you're not trying to get fit, you're just looking at the world, right?
Yeah, it's just a mix of its own. It's like exploration. Yeah, it's not out there for performance.
So tell me, how long have you been cycling for and what got you started?
I wouldn't regard myself as like a cyclist, I actually just cycle with my bicycle once in like sometimes even months without cycling. I just cycle to the park with my bike.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really a cyclist.
Okay.
But I decided that, I wanted to do this trip on a bicycle because it's an excellent form of exploration. It's, faster than foot, slower than car.
Yeah.
So right in between where you can control everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought, let's try that for this big trip.
What was the furthest that you'd ridden before riding 2,500 kilometers?
The furthest I've did was in Korea.
Okay.
So this was a trip maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
I did this with my brother from Seoul to Busan, which is the top to the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, of Korea.
The peninsula, right?
Yeah, like 7 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very easy, I'll call it an easy like cycle.
Yeah.
There's like a rental, you can rent the bike. And I'll recommend it. A lot of people who are not that hardcore to actually try that out because it's all paved.
It's paved and bike trails maybe even, and so you're not riding off-road, you're not riding through plantations, you're not doing anything crazy.
80% is bike paths.
Oh, wow.
Dedicated bike paths that the government has built for you
Yep.
right along the river.
So then,
Yeah.
I guess 7 days, you got the bug.
Yep.
Was it
I
like,
got the bug.
were you tenting or were you staying in hotels? What were you doing?
During that time, it's just all like, not intense, just like accommodations. I just find like more cheap hotels,
Okay, so 2 years ago,
Yeah.
you were like a musician, right?
Yeah.
I guess you still are. You'll always be a musician.
I still am. I still am.
But then you decided to ride the length of Japan in the middle of winter.
Yes.
I guess down in Tokyo and Osaka and these places, it's kind of mild, but it's not. But once you get up there to Hokkaido and Hakuba, this sort of areas, it gets pretty cold, right?
Yeah. It gets cold. It gets rainy. It gets snowy.
Windy.
Windy.
Yeah. What was your plan? Were you going to sleep on the side of the road in a tent? It's going to be pretty damn cold, right? Ram didn't sleep in a tent because it was too hot, but you got the opposite problem.
Yeah. It's an opposite problem. Yeah. It's too cold.
Okay.
Sometimes, yeah. So
where did you start?
I started in Kagoshima, which is the southern, like the most southern city of Kyushu. It's as south as you can get on the main islands, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did you have a plan on the route? Did you just push Google Maps and then was the bike path and then just follow that all the way up? Or what was the plan?
It's actually something like that because I just trusted that somehow, some way, it's going to be connected to the top.
Yeah.
But the exact route, I left it flexible on purpose because I wanted to ask the locals what way would be the best. So along the way, every city that I go to, I'll ask them, which road do you think is better?
So you asked the locals in Japanese,
Yes.
right? Those locals aren't going to speak English in Japan, right? Rural Japan. So how did you learn fluent Japanese? You're still quite young. Did you do it during high school as a CCA or something? What's the deal?
I had an interest in, Japanese language and maybe a little bit culture when I was young, but I didn't really seriously learn it until when I was in army time.
Okay.
So I had a lot of time in army and I thought, I just complete this mini project, that I had since I was young, I had that interest, So I learned it on my own most of the time.
But just listening to tapes or online and just, you're not speaking to another Japanese person, right?
Yeah, I actually did speak to some Japanese people.
Okay.
So
Were there Japanese people in the army?
no, I spoke
Japanese
to them.
PRs or something,
No, I wish there was, but unfortunately, it's all Singaporeans, just like me. I spoke to this, I made some friends on applications,
Okay.
Language exchange applications.
Okay.
So the idea is that they will learn English from me,
Yep.
and I will learn Japanese from them. We have a 30-minute call, and 15 minutes is in Japanese, 15 minutes is in English. Okay. We just talk about anything.
Yeah. Worked out well. So how long did it take you to learn Japanese to its conversational level?
I'm definitely far from perfect, but I can definitely converse.
Yeah.
It took me about 2 years of dedicated studying, I guess you could say. Yeah.
So when you started your trip, this trip, were you already fluent in Japanese? Or did you take these 53 days to become fluent?
It definitely helped, these 53 days, but I was already able to convey my ideas, converse. Yeah.
Okay. So bikepackers, you either got the free and easy, or you got the really strict, right? I finish the day, I plant the flag, you go to sleep, you come back to that same flag and you start off again. Yeah. What was your rules for going from the south to the north?
The rules were not very complicated. It was very simple. Start and end there by cycling.
Yes.
Don't go and take the train. Don't take the train,
Did you ever have to get in the back of a truck or something because your wheel blew up or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. So I leave it open for those because I don't really see the point of closing yourself off to these kind of things. If somebody's going to help you out, I'm not going to say no,
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity for connection. Cool. So that actually happened at one point. I was in the middle of nowhere in the countryside, and it was getting dark.
Yeah.
And just all of a sudden, I see a farmer who's blocking the road. And I'm like, konnichiwa, which is how it and he greeted me. He's like, sorry, I'm gonna get out of here. Yeah. And then he looks at me with this bike, like, what are you doing here? He's in the middle of nowhere. Well, who are you?
Yeah.
So we had a conversation, and he says, I can bring you to the nearby city. It's getting dark. It's the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't really need this help.
Yeah, you would have got there anyway, but
yeah, although with difficulty.
it's safer.
Yeah, it's the first 4 days into my trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but I took him on when it's offered because, I thought wow, I was just amazed, honestly. So I followed him on the back of his truck. Then we talked all the way. He dropped me off. And that's the end that's the last I saw of him.
Yeah.
And he's not even, he's an old farmer.
Yeah.
I think he's 70 or something, yeah. So he don't exchange contacts or anything. He's just no, it's okay, just bye.
You didn't follow him on Instagram?
Yeah, I wish I could. So, yeah.
But, so in terms of planning for accommodation, right? So when I was talking to Ram, I don't want to go back to the Ram episode every time, but when I was talking to Ram, he said the night before he would plan the accommodation for the day after. Is that sort of the same thing that you did as well?
Yeah, I did something very similar.
Yeah.
It's not wise if you don't plan your accommodation.
Yeah.
Well, what's the point? So every night or every morning, actually, I'll eat my breakfast, and in the same time, I'll be like trying to see, okay, 50 km away, like, is there anywhere I can stop? And sometimes if the answer is you don't have anywhere to stop, you have to camp.
So you brought a tent?
I brought a tent, yeah.
Okay.
And camping gear, cooking gear and stuff like that, because you never know what will happen to you. So you gotta be like self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So because of that, I brought a tent.
So for the most part, were you staying in cheap accommodation or were you staying in the tent?
I was staying in cheaper accommodation for more of the time.
Okay.
I would say a distribution of about 3/4 accommodation, a quarter camping.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then camping, do they have any laws about camping in Japan?
Oh, they do. It's a little bit of a gray area.
Okay.
So you can camp at campsites, obviously, but let's say like parks. If there are no signs explicitly, just don't bother anyone, But or maybe someone will check.
That's when you pretend to not know Japanese.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So, but then obviously also you had to catch ferries from some points along the way as well, right? So the rules can't be that strict. You get to a port and if you catch a ferry or cross a river or something like that, it's not so bad, right?
Yeah.
So I was following you and you started with some sort of mountain bike.
Right.
But then sometime between day 15 and day 26, you were on a gravel bike.
Yes.
So what did that blow the budget? What was what happened there?
It did blow a budget, but it was something I deemed necessary.
Okay.
Yeah. Before that, this bicycle I'm using, it's a 10-year-old bicycle.
Okay.
Something that I had when I was that means I'm like 13 years old.
Yeah.
So small guy.
So you brought this bike from Singapore to start your trip.
Yes.
And then you decided, okay, my childhood bike, I'm just going to ride it. And you rode it from Singapore.
Yeah.
Rode it, and then what happened? Did the bottom bracket give way, or did the wheel go out of true? What was the story?
A lot of things happened, and basically, like by day 8, like the bike was on half its life.
Okay.
4 out of 8 of the gears were inaccessible because the rack completely broke and pushed into the gears. So if you access those gears, you're just going to be met with a wall.
The bike rack. The bike rack.
Bike rack snapped.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was the gear.
Yeah.
The brake, also the rear brake, I think the brake pad just completely disappeared.
Yeah.
Disappeared. It actually disappeared.
Okay.
So yeah.
It was a 10-year-old bike, original brake pad probably.
Yeah, and I actually I didn't just pop in there with a 10-year bike. I actually fixed it.
Yeah.
I went to the shop, kind of change the cassette, new cassette, new brake, everything. But I don't know, man. Age sometimes is an old bike.
So then you just walked into the Trek store and you bought a Trek.
Yeah.
Or Touch store. What was the Trek that you got?
It's a Trek checkpoint.
Checkpoint, right? Which is the gravel.
Yeah.
Gravel bike, right?
Yeah.
And you just transferred all your stuff over.
Yeah. Took me a couple of days, but I set up camp it's like in Osaka.
Yeah.
It's a great checkpoint. Like
Literally.
yeah, literally, yeah. Yeah. So
So then what happened to your bike? You just said bye-bye and just to them?
I just traded it in. It was really sad actually. I never knew how much connection I had with the bike.
Well, you had a week on it as well.
Yeah.
And it was a childhood bike, right?
Yeah.
So it's somewhere in Japan still?
I'm not sure if it's in one piece now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But from that point on, you're suddenly from a small mountain bike to a medium-sized road bike, right? Basically, right?
Yeah.
Panniers on the front, panniers in the back. What was the story?
Panniers on the back, 2 panniers on the back, and I equipped 4 bags.
Yep.
On the front.
Okay.
To try and distribute the weight, because immediately I realized there was one problem. My bicycle is way too back heavy.
Oh, so going up a hill, you might wheelie it.
Yeah, it's just when you handle, obviously why is going to handle so flimsy, but it's actually because all the weight's here. So I tried to, across the days you start to get used to your bike.
So was there any method to your madness in terms of distribution? Are you putting all of your stacks in the right side and then your tent in the left side and then your clothes in the back and then your clean clothes?
Yeah, so you have to know your equipment like the back of your hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Know exactly where everything is, because let's say it gets cold immediately.
Yeah, you need to find your jacket.
You need to find a jacket immediately. Let's say it gets wet, you need your rain gear immediately.
Yeah.
So you need to know it, and you have to be strategic with your equipment. This is your life for the next 50 days. So just put it where you need things to be. So
okay.
Yeah. distribute the weight accordingly, be flexible. So at first, all my weight was at the back, and even on the new bicycle, the rack snapped again. Now, like, I spent a whole like 1,000 on this bike, and it still snapped.
Yep.
What you gotta do?
Well, you're hammering it pretty hard, right?
Yeah.
Not the typical rider. You're carrying all this stuff,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
So then, equipment wise, right? There's a bunch of different equipment can go in different categories, right? Let's just start with electronics. You're documenting this, right? You're uploading videos, you're making clips, you're doing Instagram. What did you have for that? Obviously a phone.
Yeah.
What else did you have?
My camera,
Okay.
Insta360.
Okay.
I attached it to the front of my.
So you had those little poles on the front?
Yeah, like it doesn't need to be that long. It's just an extension, like small, like maybe this length. Yeah.
Okay.
If you buy front bike,
Yep.
just like that.
Insta360 and a phone. Is that it?
That's it. I mean chargers, but you're talking about the usable ones. Yeah, just the phone and Insta360.
And you didn't have a bike computer, you didn't have any GPS, it's all through the phone?
Oh, through the phone. Yeah.
Okay. Power banks, did you have 1 or 2 or 5? What?
I had 3 power banks, which is, I think people consider it a lot.
Yeah.
But the reason was because I wanted to be permanently recording on my 360 camera.
Okay. How long can a 360 record for?
Infinite duration.
Oh, because it will get to the end and then start again, right?
It will just loop and loop. So yeah.
Okay, but if you wanted to record the day's worth of travel, can it be on one SD card or will it have to be on multiple?
It would be on 1 day's worth of SD. Like it's like just one SD card.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the Insta360 has a function that you can only take the last part of that clip. So if I'm recording for an hour,
Yep.
it will just take the last 1 minute worth of recording.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that's why I left it permanently recording, and maybe there's a nice interaction sound. Oh, konnichiwa. They can
Oh, so then you
Yeah.
just
stop it, and I'll only get that last bit.
Okay.
Because you can't predict what's going to happen.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's good. And then what's the process? So what's the process of these videos, right? We see 90 seconds of your life every 2 weeks, for example, right?
Yeah.
Is it that you're recording all these clips, just putting them in a folder somewhere, and then you get to a nice place, sit down there, and edit them, and what are you doing? Or do you have a server that you're uploading all these things to? What do you got? A little folder of SD cards? What do you?
Yeah. It's all like I just go to whenever I reach an accommodation, I will get myself prep, like wind down, and start to like curate the video of what happened that day and the previous day.
But you've got like gigabytes and gigabytes of data, right? Are you uploading it onto your phone, or do you have some sort of like notebook or something?
It's all in my phone and the SD cards that I have.
Okay.
Yeah. I curate them in my phone, and like the access is all in the SD card.
Okay.
Yeah. The phone videos don't really take up that much space, so I can just like forever.
Yeah.
But like if you're recording in 8K on a
Exactly. That physically takes up a lot of little
so
hard
the
space.
junk is in there. And, I'm just quite selective about what I choose, But it's a doable thing though.
Bike equipment.
Yeah.
You had a Trek gravel bike, right?
Yeah.
Bike rack on the front, bike rack on the back, panniers in the front, panniers in the back. Any special modifications to the bike? Did you have how many water bottles? How much liquid were you carrying at all times when you were riding?
Right. So one modification that I made to my bike was, even with the front forks, the weight was still too much at the back.
Yeah.
Because it broke one more time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I fixed the bike and I changed my tent. I stuffed it into the
bag.
drop handlebars.
Yeah.
There's like a space for you to hold.
Like right there?
Right there, yeah. I stuffed it right there.
Okay, so just in between the drops.
Yeah. I just stuffed it there, tied it up.
Yeah. So it's like a handlebar bag almost at the front.
Yeah.
At the front of the bike. Sorry.
Yeah. My own.
Tires. Did you were riding through snow for some of this, right? Did you have mountain bike tires on there, or you couldn't be riding a slick road like this, right?
No. It was gravel tires.
Okay.
Which is actually not even ideal if you ask me.
Yeah.
But I did that trade-off because most of the time it's on road.
Yeah.
And those small times where you're on like deep snow, you just go, just push.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
You rode 2,500 kilometers in the winter, which means in the snow. Why did you do that in the winter? Is it because you don't know if it's been done before, or is it like you like the cold so much, or you what's?
As a Singaporean, we like some cold, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Hot here.
But there's a legitimate danger in bikepacking in the snow.
Yes,
right.
yeah.
You don't have accommodation. You sleep in a barn. It's actually minus 10 degrees.
Yeah.
This is not risk free.
Yeah, it's very there are a lot of dangers with it,
Yeah.
and but I just felt like it was the right chance for me. I have a holiday. Most of my friends are still studying, but I'm going on exchange soon. So just my break is now, couple months.
Okay, so you had a window, and you said, if I don't jump now, it's now or never, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I have a lot of things lining up for me that makes sense for me. So we have the fact that I can speak Japanese now. We have the fact that I've did a bicycle trip before. It's not that foreign, And one thing I wanted to explore in particular about this trip was how people interact with you across the whole island.
Yeah.
Because
Was there any differences, like the northerners and the southerners, and is there a difference between the Japanese?
in a way, but I think everyone less than you would think.
Okay.
Less than you would think. You maybe like this area has like an accent, or they're more like loose. But in general, like people are still people, like they are still just as kind. I can't even go into like how kind people were to me on this trip. Like to me, that's an absolutely big part of something.
It's almost like you're just discovering human nature through your trip, right?
Yeah.
Leaning on people's generosity or not generosity, and
Yeah. It was a big part of my trip, because very quickly into the trip, I realized that this trip is not really just about myself. By day three, I've been treated lunch. I've been gifted like at least 4 or 5 bottles of drinks. People have, So I just realized that, okay, like this journey is actually like a lot of people are like invested and involved in it.
Japan. When I went to Japan, there was like family marts and Lawsons everywhere.
Yeah.
Did that keep you alive throughout this trip? Did you like go from Lawson to Lawson and get the Maggie Mee and keep yourself warm? Because there must be like a nice warm spot.
Yeah.
You got the hot water, you got some noodles.
Yeah.
Is that keep you alive sometimes doing this sort of thing, or did you sit down and have proper meals at most?
Like it's just I try my best to eat whole meals.
Yeah.
Because it's not healthy.
Yeah.
To eat convenience store food all the time.
Yeah, of course.
But when you're out there, you do have to for your nutrition, like halfway in the ride, like 50 km ride, you'll stop in between at least once, right? So I'll sit there and contemplate life, because like, oh no, it's snowing.
So cold. What am I
Snowing.
doing?
My hands are frozen, and like, actually, even my hands right now, like they're actually like, you can see like they're actually covering.
Wow.
Yeah, like
Yes. Yeah.
this is actually all like damage, from snow and cold.
Yeah.
It's like the first layer of skin is gone, so it's cold out there.
Yeah.
And so I take the time at the convenience store to refuel. But the funny thing is, I don't really have to buy food myself, Like a lot of times people just give it to me.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there on my phone, planning the next trip.
And I think that you're driving past with so much stuff, you must be some sort of traveler or something, right?
Yeah, like they just, I have a flag, to like sort of say that I'm going from the top of Japan, yeah. But these people just come up to me and talk, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We have a conversation. They just, they just go into the convenience store, they buy something for me and just pass it to me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's amazing, yeah.
While we're talking about equipment, so you got equipment electronics.
Yep.
Then you got equipment personal, right? Like jumpers and t-shirts and cycling stuff.
Yeah.
Were you wearing, it's winter, right? What were you wearing when you're riding?
So,
Do you have like cycling gear under all your layers, or what were you doing? Or were you just
I don't have cycling gear and like not even like cycling shoes. I just like, it's like kind of like I'm going hiking, like the gear. was mainly waterproof and windproof.
Okay.
It's very, very important in winter.
So you're wearing like almost fisherman's pants, sort of
yeah.
like wet weather gear.
Yeah,
Most of the time,
Yeah,
because it could rain at any time or it could get like snowy or something.
yeah. The wind will kill you in.
So you wanted something windproof so the wind wouldn't bite the skin, wouldn't bite your temperature. Okay, and then were you wearing a full like fisherman's hiking jacket style with a hood and a little peak and everything?
Yeah, something like that.
You were,
Yeah, just
and
like,
maybe even a balaclava, right?
yes, you need something to protect.
So what did you actually pack? How many of each things how many t-shirts? Did you have jumpers? Like if I wanted to do this, what would you recommend of each thing to bring?
You have to overpack.
Okay, but if you overpack, then you got to carry all that shit all the way through your trip, right?
It's better than dying.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but also don't overdo it, right?
Yeah.
So, I brought like 7 pairs of like innerwear. It's fine because innerwear like socks, it's a small thing.
Yeah.
But your innerwear, like I guess like your thermal layer, your mid layer, you need a few pairs because it's winter. You're not gonna sweat so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just bring a few. Yeah.
And did you buy stuff along the way? Like you realize, oh shit, these gloves aren't thick enough. I need full snowboard gloves or something. Is that what happened or?
Yeah. Many times, you lose gloves.
Okay.
Yeah. There was one day I was wearing gloves and I needed to set up tent. Yeah. So I set up my tent, but I take out my gloves so that I can tent. But the wind was so strong.
It just blew them away.
It disappeared. Yeah. My gloves, I couldn't see in the night,
Yeah, oh, okay.
You gotta buy those again,
And then did you discard anything along the way?
On the way, I discarded,
Like stuff that you thought that you might need, but you actually didn't need,
not too much.
Like a portable kettle that you can't even plug in.
Not, small little things.
Yeah.
Like, maybe food that's gonna expire, because you have to keep spares on you at all times.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Not much, I wouldn't say so.
And then, so once you have all this food and your jackets and you get a rain jacket and a winter jacket and gloves and tent and cooking stuff, how much did it all weigh?
With the bike, I think it weighed like over 30 kg. Yeah.
Okay.
Over 30.
And then you had to distribute those 30 kilograms, or 10 of it was the bike.
Yeah.
So 20 of it front and back, and make sure there's not too much at the back, not too much at the front, right?
Correct.
So talk about budget and planning and how much you spent, right? You were riding for like 2 months, right?
Yeah.
54 days?
Yeah, around there, yeah.
So let's just say don't include the bike, because that was a big cost, right?
Yeah.
How much did you spend in those to go from south to north?
I think I spent around 6K. Yeah, I spent around 6K. Yeah.
And most of that was on accommodation?
Yeah, food and accommodation. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my main spending.
So you were sort of staying at hostels when you could, and if you couldn't, you would tent? Is that what we're talking about?
Yep. For most of the journey, that's the principle.
Okay, and the tent is just because you couldn't find accommodation, or it's too late, or everything's sold out, booked out, or...
Not all the time. Sometimes, like, it's actually a beautiful place, and you just want to camp instead of staying in, like, a room,
Yeah.
You got to experience, like, Mount Fuji, It's a very famous place. There's campsites around.
So you camped?
Yeah, I camped at a beautiful campsite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And any spots where you weren't planning to spend a lot of time, but you decided this place is so beautiful, I'm just going to stay here longer?
Mount Fuji.
Mount Fuji?
Mount Fuji.
Did you ride up? Because you can ride up Mount Fuji. Did you ride up?
Oh, you can?
You can, yes.
Oh.
I'm not sure not to the top because it's snowy, but there you can ride. There's a spots up there you can ride to.
I rode up a mountain to see Mount Fuji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not Mount Fuji.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so, what was the most memorable place of all of the places that you went to?
The most memorable would definitely be Aomori, which is right before Hokkaido.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the snowiest city on earth, actually. I learned, that.
So, what did you do when you were riding through the snow? Were you literally riding through snowy roads?
Yeah. The road is quite well maintained because, they just know how much snow gets there. So they actually maintain the road.
Yeah.
But it's the weather that hits you. Yeah. So it's memorable because of the mental preparation that I had to do in order to reach there.
Because you must have been like 50 days into it by that time, right?
Yeah. And this was the hardest part of the whole trip.
Okay.
It was like the summary exercise.
Yeah. So 2,500 kilometers in about 50 days. So it's like 50 kilometers a day. Were you going 100 kilometers in some day and then no kilometers in other days? How did you pace yourself?
I paced myself with about 50 km a day.
Okay. And how much riding is that on a 30 kilogram bike? How many hours? Are you talking 4 hours of riding, or is it?
It's a little more than 4. Yeah, I would say like maybe 5. Yeah, maybe about 5 hours. Yeah.
So you're not breaking any records. You're just pedaling and looking around and talking to people and stopping at Family Mart and getting a coffee and then riding a little bit more and then you're riding during the day. So the main part of the day from 10 to 3 is riding. Yeah. Then I'll like this town, have a bowl of noodles, stay the night.
Yeah.
No rush for the next day, right?
Sometimes I have to rush because it's going to be sundown and riding at night in an unfamiliar place.
Oh, during winter time, the sunset's probably at 4 o'clock or 3:30 or something, right?
Yeah. It's black by 6.
Yeah.
It's pitch black. So you have a deadline.
Okay. Then where was the friendliest area or people, or were the Southerners more friendly or the Northerners more friendly, or the Middle Earth?
Yeah, you see, I set out on this trip to figure out that question.
Yeah.
But the answer I got was people are people. It's not like one is more kind than the other. If you really manage to connect, there's that kindness no matter where you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you ask me the friendliest place, nope, I don't have an answer.
That's okay. And you were saying that you're a NUS university student, right?
Yeah.
So basically, this is just your summer break, or your winter break that you were doing this.
Yeah.
And then you said you were going to do an exchange. Are you going back to Japan? Is that what the story is?
Yeah, I'm going back to Japan in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Was that always the plan? Was to go to Japan, or did you like this trip so much that you decided to go and?
Oh, I was gonna go to Japan because the exchange is determined months before, but I just thought what should I do in this break? Yeah, I thought I would explore the country and do something big. Yeah.
So what would you do differently if you were going to do it?
If I were to do it differently again, I'll be honest, I don't think I'll do anything differently. I think it's mostly how it should have been. Yeah.
Don't bring a 10-year-old bike.
Yeah, that's definitely okay. Don't bring a 10-year-old bike.
Yeah. But like tire widths were fine. Were you like on a 30 millimeter tires, 40 millimeter tires was perfectly fine? Would you? Would you go for mountain bike tires or something next time, or is it perfect?
No, I think the thickness is enough to bring you safe. Just always be aware of what you're doing. And if you ever feel like, unless you intend to do the exact same journey that I have, just be flexible.
Yeah.
You figure out, I don't feel safe. Change it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what next? What next for you? Where are you going? Are you going to do is this a one and done trip? Are you done? You've done Korea, you've done Japan, and then now you're going to study and get a full-time job and live the Singapore dream, or are you going to do another one of these trips sometime? I
have no idea what's going to happen.
So nothing planned yet? Nothing
planned yet, yeah. But I mean, after a big trip, it makes you feel like you want to do some more.
You know what I suggest? You've done South Korea now.
Yeah.
Why not go to North Korea?
Whoa. You're putting a challenge on me.
Go to the border, cut across, and head north, and you get to China, right? Singaporeans are allowed in North Korea, right? So just to try your luck.
All right, let's go.
We might have extra motivation of the soldiers chasing you.
Yeah, I like challenge, don't I? Okay. They always say about that. Yeah.
Okay, In Jae, it's been a pleasure. So best way to get a hold of you at In Jae, right? INJAEE.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
Instagram?
Yeah.
Is that most of your stuff? If people want to look at your previous journey and how to go from where the path you took and everything,
Yeah.
It's all there?
Yeah, it's all there. I mean,
Okay.
1/10 of it, but as much as, that's where you can find me.
Okay, enjoy.
Pleasure so much. Yeah.
Keep me updated on our next trip, and I'll make sure we follow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
No worries.